Effective Self-Organized Team Traits, 6 Effective Team Habits, developed by Sriram Rajagopalan for Agile Training Champions. In the earlier session, we discussed Jerry Wellman's suggested tips on improving project performance. We saw examples of activities for team members, including the team leader, as part of these tips. In this discussion, we will explore 6 habits of highly effective teams compiled by Stephen Cohn and Vince O'Connell based on their experiences working with several large Fortune 500 companies. Let's ground ourselves before we proceed on this final lap of our journey on defining effective team habits. A team may be delivering client projects or catering to internal company needs, including strategic product portfolio planning, system or platform improvements, or internal process enhancements. Regardless of the type of team, there are 2 major roles in the team. One is the customer management and the other is the team management. Managing customer. The person that manages the customer could be labeled client relationship manager, relationship officer, client services account manager, product owner, or a product manager. Contrary to conventional thinking, their role does not stop with just managing the book of accounts. They represent the voice of the customer who represents the market trends. For this discussion, let's call them account manager. The person filling this role will be a catalyst for change in the organization, introducing new features and suggesting changes to the existing product to make the products competitive, client-friendly, and profitable. Accountable for the client communication, including performance matrices and financial stability, they will not only facilitate in the cross-selling and upselling of products and services to the existing client, but also support sales in new opportunities. Managing team. The person managing a team may go with different titles depending upon how much a strong matrix organizational structure an organization has. In a strong matrix organization, there will be program manager, project leader, and business analysts. In agile teams, these roles could be a product owner, team leader, engineering manager, scrum master, business analyst, or agile coach. For this discussion, let's call them project manager. These managers are responsible for internal communication and are expected to understand the relationship between business and functional requirements so that they can use to organize, schedule, control scope, direct team, and manage costs. They should relate very deeply to process efficiency by acting as the change agent to ensure processes are in place to meet project's healthy progress. Account manager versus project manager. This distinction is very important, and let's summarize. The account management orientation is external, focusing on client, retaining and satisfying the client's needs. The project management orientation is internal. They are team focused, managing the expectations of them and the stakeholders to deliver as agreed upon. The account management focuses on sales, revenue, ongoing cadence for projects in post-deployment, pricing, and competitive delivery to meet organizational goals. The project management focuses on allocation and leveling of resources, coordination of team, partners, and vendors, controlling project budget, focusing on balancing scope, cost, resource, and quality by controlling the priority and severity. Binocular collaboration. It is very essential to understand that both these account management and project management roles are equally important to deliver business value. They are not competitive roles, but complementary roles. The value statement comes from the fact that people deliver projects that help businesses meet clients' needs. So both these roles are the two eyes of the business. Both are required for binocular vision to perceive the depth. One role without the other will not deliver the business value in the long run. As we understand the complementary nature of these two roles, one can appreciate the need for effective habits that should be in place. Stephen Cohn and Vince O'Connell address this need with 6 habits: strengthening the emotional capacity of the team to improve relationship, expanding team's self-awareness, practicing empathy and respectfulness, establishing and regulating team norms, thinking laterally, entrusting team members with appropriate roles. Let's explore each of these habits now. Habit number 1, emotional capacity. The concept of emotional intelligence has been on the rise, and several studies exist to address its needs. This concept is also emphasized as a strong ingredient of self-organized teams in the agile context. This concept can be broken into 4 dimensions. The first dimension is the self-awareness, assessing one's value system and the drive to excel. This is very important to understand what motivates the individual. The second dimension leads into self-management, where the individual can identify the strengths and weaknesses to adapt to change, manage stress, among other things. The third dimension is the relationship component, where an intense organizational awareness is emphasized. The drive to excel and flexibility to embrace change. The team leader can identify and create opportunities for the team. The final dimension is the relationship management, where one can get better at managing conflicts and become a catalyst for change by proactively building potential in the team. Habit number 2, expanding team's awareness. Have you ever wondered why the business units have a role-based name? For example, consider the names like sales team, quality assurance team, and development team. Why are we not calling these teams by the names of the leader of the team, such as Bob's team, Mary's team, Chan's team, Shiva's team? The actions, processes, and policies build the identity of the team by the core competencies expected of the team. The teams should frequently question the need for their own existence in terms of the business value they generate. As the industry changes, market demands evolve. To what standards of performance excellence should the team march towards? A development not embracing the latest challenges or changes to the application environment, testing team not keeping up with the modification or addition of new test case library with the changes in product development team not correlating internal organizational constraints with the global market demands, or a project management team not in sync with the demands of the increasing project management responsibilities, is eliminating itself. To increase the team's awareness, 5 strategies can be adopted. Number 1, measure performance against preset objective, quality management standards, and matrices. Number 2, conduct regular customer surveys using the 7-step Cheers model. These 7 steps are competence on the job, honesty, empathy, ease to work with, accessibility, responsiveness in following through, and sharing and communication of information. Number 3, recognize team members by calling out excellence by establishing what excellence means. Communicate to the manager when an extraordinary performance is delivered by putting the limelight on the team. Number 4. The lessons learned in an organization is an important asset, often ignored. Results of an informal poll by Project Management Institute conclude that 71.5% of the respondents in that survey suggest conducting the lessons learned sessions throughout the project lifecycle. These improvements identified should be followed through by assigning appropriate owners. Agile teams call these lessons learned as the retrospective sessions and bake them as part of the regular process, sowing the seeds for success. Number 5. Take a retreat from daily stresses and reflect. It's a detoxification process where the team is temporarily removed from attending to daily commitments and reflects on the long term and scale the current processes to meet the upcoming demands. Habit number 3. Active listening and honesty. Many management books differentiate hearing from listening. Effective teams don't just hear but listen. As the popular saying goes, what you do speaks so loudly that I can hear what you say. When people escalate too soon, offer to suggest solutions without understanding the problem, credibility goes spiraling down. Active listening means there is a genuine interest to understand the speaker without any bias. It's good to remember the 6 great friends: who, what, why, where, when, and how. As the responses from these 6 friends become clearer, the teams can understand and validate from a business value. For instance, what would be the business impact of pushing back on a client gently because of the acceleration of schedule compromising quality? Remote and distributed teams can use email or similar channels to validate and affirm assumptions when there is a reasonable understanding, but should talk if there is a misunderstanding. In co-located teams, managing by walking around is a good approach so that you can establish an informal relationship. In distributed team, occasionally drop a message through IM or send a pulse check email. Be honest when appraising a situation or describing a conflict for resolution. Such activities build trust and credibility, which takes one to many places. Habit number 4. Establish norms. Norms are the standard operating procedures that the team accepts to adhere to. These become the necessary and sufficient condition to avoid friction. The norms differ depending upon the team's purpose of existence and functionality served, but some examples to consider are the following. How will team agree on closure if there are different viewpoints? What behavior will team enforce to manage scope? What the team expects others to have verified before reaching for an update? What behavior is not tolerated? How will the team prioritize issues? Who will update the client on updates? Who leads the conferences? When should a meeting be requested? How will remote members introduce themselves to the client in a kickoff? Habit number 5. Lateral thinking. Lateral thinking is a generative process and involves asymmetric pattern processing, which is not always done in a sequential order, infers Edward de Bono, who coined this approach in 1967. These principles are similar to how the Agile framework promotes generative behaviors through prescriptive processes. This lateral thinking paves its foundations through 6 thought domains, called 6 hats. In the first white hat domain, the team is provided with all the information available for the team on a fact-finding expedition. They absorb and brainstorm alternatives. The first domain is the white hat thinking. The next stage leads to eliciting the team's emotional reaction to the alternatives and decision. Focusing on immediate reactions without any bias, this second domain, called the red hat, attempts to unearth emotional bindings. In a balanced way, the two subsequent stages evaluate playing devil's advocate, looking at the downside to selecting a solution, and looking at the optimistic side of benefits of choosing a solution. These two domains are called black hat and yellow hat respectively. The fifth stage explores invoking additional ideas that could offset the downside and enhance the benefits, similar to an effective and proactive risk management approach. The techniques such as force field analysis are good tools to explore for the teams besides brainstorming. Delphi and wideband Delphi approaches, as these evaluate ideas for execution friendliness if bound by time constraints. This fifth domain of additional idea generation is the green hat. The final hat, called blue hat, puts on the tactical glasses to serialize the operation and institutionalize the idea by streaming the processes necessary to execute. Habit number 6, operating with trust. Trust is like money in the bank, says Russell in his book on Titleless Leader. You invest money first, thinking, see how it grows or shrinks, either add or remove money to protect your investment later. As people begin to start working together, trust is often low. So most likely the team members may expect to bounce ideas before moving forward. This is like, run it by me first. As the members of the team gels together by following the earlier 5 habits, the trust increases. Mostly members at this point want to be abreast of updates. As the trust goes higher, team members trust each other to follow through on their responsibilities and involve only when required. As responsibilities slide and people underperform, they move back in this process. Eliminate ambiguity. It's always important to make sure that we give communication to eliminate ambiguity. Some examples are as follows. Don't let scope always evolve in a team discussion. Remember our inefficient model of participatory team operation. If you don't know where you want to go, why should the team? Did you know that there is a cost to every meeting? We can burn 8 hours in 1 hour by putting 8 people at the same time. Document client status meetings. This should be done always. Document internal meetings where major decisions are made impacting the project. Think how it may impact outside of your project as you document the meetings. For instance, why is the IRS giving an entire checklist for us to validate the results? Have you ever wondered? One should always build quality by design. Don't let it happen by accident. Follow established processes. If a ship starts with a 1 degree different angle to its destination, it misses the destination traveling a very long time. If there is no agenda, then there is no need for a meeting. As we look into these, let's speak the same dialect. The PM and AM should keep each other constantly informed, collaborate, and not just communicate. The team should hear the same message from both. Discuss strategy between yourselves and resolve differences. Trust each other to deliver customer value and see team's challenges. See the larger picture beyond your current accounts and projects. As we said before, Look for a role, not for a job. Alright, how can we keep doing this? Let's give some tips. Engaging the PM. Check-in meetings to discuss status updates. You can determine the frequency based upon the project requirements. Meetings may be unnecessary as trust builds. Call for meetings when major deviations occur. Tactics are getting cancelled, contractual commitments are increasing. In those cases, call for meetings. Don't have a meeting just because you want to have status updates. Use PM as an additional soundboard. Involve the PM in key client meetings to discuss creative ideas. Engage the PM in strategy discussions. Seek to understand and attempt to resolve team's implementation challenges. Sow the responsibility seeds for the PM. Route all internal tasks to the team through the PM and keep the PM under their visibility. Empower and encourage the PM to think and lead critically. Remember the 6 critical lateral thinking hats. Appreciate the PM's management success to the organization. These tips will help how very well we can engage the PM. Now let's turn our tips into how to engage the AM. Provide frequent status updates. Check-ins are great. Prepare, provide, and maintain return updates. Identify action items. Provide summary email identifying action items. Distributed unambiguous meeting notes. Involve the AM productively. Remember, AM engages with the client more and may have updates altering the actions for the team. If their presence in a meeting is mandatory, inform them in advance. Remain flexible but hold them to the process. Understand AM limitations due to travel, client, and imposed constraints. Hold them to the process so that they can be your backup. Demand their presence for the postmortem or lessons learned sessions. Recognize the team. Identify the contributions from the team that made things happen. Seek their support to recognize team members. Rejoicing the moment. As we conclude this training, as a member of any team that you belong, ask yourself the following 3 questions. What are you deeply passionate about? What can you be the best in the world at? What drives your economic engine? As Jim Collins underscored in his edge card concept, these questions will help bring discipline among people, creative thought, and actions, eliminating unnecessary hierarchy, bureaucracy, and excessive controls. We saw in our trapeze model that strategy and execution are both critical for magnificence. The applause stops in a few minutes, but success demands hours of preparation. Rejoice the moment and continue to excel with every performance. Are you ready?